It's the 3rd of March 2025, and we wish to especially welcome you to this installment of Teachers of the Issues, your favorite YouTube channel. This is the State of the Nation edition. A former British Prime Minister, Sir Anthony Charles Linton Blair, put these words in the sands of time. We campaign in poetry, but we govern in prose. So a few days ago, President John Mahama delivered his State of the Nation address. And as we would expect, the opposition MPP have also come out to deliver the true State of the Nation address as they found it. But of course, I mean, these lines of argument, these banters are familiar with us, so we are not so surprised, right? We say that the state of any nation is like the state of any marriage, especially if the parties in the marriage are former divorcees. Because if there was a good marriage, they wouldn't be marrying again. So after Mahama has had won that emphatic victory in December, it's almost expected that, it was a repudiation of the Kufuor administration, because the thinking was that that emphatic victory means that people were so dissatisfied with the old government, and so that is why Mr. Mahama is seen. And he himself is quick to make this acknowledgement that he knows that the stakes are high. He knows that there are great expectations of him. And that kind of came out quite forcefully in the address. Now, let's look at the address properly. I mean, who wrote Mr. Mahama's Sona? Fantastic work. Fantastic work. It looks like the same speechwriter would be behind the inaugural address, because that was also quite well written too. And Imani boss, Mr. Franklin Kujo, shares this concern that both addresses were quite written quite well. Now, so let's look at a few issues that Mr. Mahama brought up. And before we even get into that, please, as we do always on this channel, if you can like the channel for us, leave us a comment, and most importantly, subscribe for us so that we can grow together and enjoy the journey with us. Today we have a very controversial subject. It's actually an oxymoron woven together with active verbs and adjectives. So the topic for today, wait for this. The danger with the Mahama government is that everything seems to be going too well too soon. You heard that right. The danger with the Mahama government is that everything seems to be going too well too soon. Now, starting with even the appointments, Mr. Mahama promised 60 ministers, and I think he's just that. He's done just that. And there are presidential staffers, and he has promised not to exceed a certain quota. He wants to do much less with what we had in the previous administration. And also the quality of the ministers that we have at this point. So we have the feeling of comfort that at least we have substance and capacity and merit winning over party affiliation and also winning over campaign talk. So it's not as if those who went on campaigns were being rewarded with appointments. We have that feeling that, look at the quality of people. And we also have something refreshing happening. People who are very, very young, like in Ashanti region, somebody 34, 35, and the guy seems quality too. So we have certain refreshing things happening with the administration, but these are early days yet. And Mr. Mahama himself knows that these are early days, so it's not a time for accolades, it's not a time to cheer, it's a time for action. What we found quite refreshing in the Sona was that the president was quite honest, but he was also honest in a confrontational way. If you remember from President Kufuor's to Kufuor's Yetisikaso comedy, so that Mr. Mahama was not going to depart from that line of argument. So always you would look at the previous administration and see that, things were not done right. So Mr. Mahama cataloged a few issues that, even a sinking fund had something like $64,000 in there. So an individual somewhere on social media joked that, if that was just how much is left for Ghana, then he's actually richer than the country. He also mentioned that there was some 150 or 30 million in another account, basically painting a picture of desolation, a picture of things not doing great. He has said Ghana is a crime scene, right? Because the economy was managed in a criminal way. But of course, Mr. Hama is a politician, so that's how they speak. Let's see what he would leave behind, and let's see what he would do. But even more refreshing is what he did. he's not going to hide behind all these problems and say, well, things are tight. He owned up to them and said, he personalized that John Dramani Mahama, I'm going to fix the problems. And we thought that was quite well said. And so we'll be looking at that as well. Now, Mr. Mahama is in his second term, right? And there's a danger of second terms because people expect that because of their lived experience that second term people have, they are likely to do things a lot better. But second term sometimes it also proved difficult too, right? I mean, we recently saw what happened in the Oval Office when Mr. Trump took over as president. I mean, he promised during the campaigns that he would end the Russian-Iraq war, Russian-Ukraine war in days. Now, it's become a situation there. I mean, we saw what happened between him and the Ukraine leader, Zelensky, at the White House. So it's not as easy as that when you see it from behind during campaigns. Once you are comfortable with the situation of governance, things are a bit more difficult. I mean, Trump did something a bit more funny that when he came in, he did executive orders canceling certain actions, before. And then he ended up canceling something that he did when he was in the first term, saying that it was so bad. But he didn't realize that it was actually his own policy. He thought it was something that Mr. Biden left behind. So it looks easy until you get into the reins, and then you find out that, well, things are tight. So Mr. Mahama is in second term, and he's an experienced hand. We do know that. So people expect that he would not repeat certain mistakes. And he actually has said himself that, well, he made mistakes in the past, and he hopes to do a lot better this time. So we're going to hold Mr. Mahama to all that. Now, let's look at a few issues in the SONA that we thought was also quite good. The bit about Mr. Mahama promising to fund the education of people living with disability when they get to tertiary level. He's going to pay for that. We think that was good. He's going to look into Saglemi and see what we can do with that. We think that is also quite good too. He's also promised to get to the bottom of the ghost name situation at the National Service Secretariat, and that was quite an issue too, right? Because if what we heard was right, so the ghost names were pumping as much as 50 million every month into pockets of people. If this is true, then I mean, we have a crime scene here, and we expect that Mr. Mahama perhaps would want to get into things and see what we can do. But there are a few issues too with second terms. There's something called situational irony, when the unexpected happens. Now, so just before we did the video, I was listening to things in the airspace, and there's something about the Hajj village, something like another terminal being constructed for the Hajj. It sounds a bit, and it's kind of trying to resurrect the carcass of the National Cathedral. So people are now trying to. So well, we are not quite out of the woods with the cathedral, and there's another construction for a Hajj again, and so. I mean, and already, Mr. Ofosukwachi and Samajanfi have started explaining themselves that, well, this isn't going to be another cathedral where we're going to sink in government money. This is an airport, Ghana airport infrastructure activity. It's something they would have done anyway because the Hajj village has always been there. But Mr. Mahama wants to perhaps make things better, build an airport, a separate terminal that would facilitate the Hajj project, which happens only maybe 6 weeks in a year. But beyond that, there would be other uses for the facility that trying to. So the whole thing will be, there will be a conference centers in there. There will be shops that they will rent out, and other uses. But then again, I mean, when the National Cathedral started, we heard these kind of things too, right? People started talking. I mean, there will be a Bible museum. There will be selling food that we've not eaten before. I mean, so it sounded fantastic until eventually ended up as a whole. So people are mindful. I mean, we grow, right? So we hope that the Hajj, as it's been said, is not going to take even a penny of the taxpayers' money. So we do hope that it's going to be something like that, and we wouldn't end up sinking money again. But sincerely, we do hope that we know that Mr. President John Mahama, this is supposed to be his legacy years. That's what he's termed it. So he's bent on doing things right. I mean, that we can give him that credit. So one other takeaway that we got is that the free SHS will continue. But of course, I mean, has he got any choice? He has continued it. If it's a good policy, why not? But he's going to review it and make it better. When we are just checking that, in reviewing that policy, we shouldn't create new problems, right? So we're looking at that. I mean, recently I had the honor of filling some questionnaire. Something going around. It's a survey. I think it's a fallout from the educational summit that they did, asking about what we think about the free ATS policy, how we can do it better. So I did my own feeling and sent it away. There's also the issue with STEM, science education, technology education, whatever. Well, what Aduchum of the MPP did was to select a few schools, not spread STEM across everywhere, but he selected a few schools that he wanted the STEM education to come out properly from those schools. But Mr. Mahama is saying that, well, we want to spread STEM across all the SSS institutions. There's something that single success stories always talk better, right? So we hope that Mr. Mahama does not dilute and water down the importance of or the quality of STEM education once he wants to spread it up. Because once you do a mass spread, the quality sometimes suffers, right? So we hope that these things are checked and we don't, get up to recycle the old problems again and again, because we need to make proper moves this time around, and some of us have a lot more confidence in the Mahama government. He seems more determined to do things right, and he's still enjoying some goodwill at this point, and he has some likability. Mr. Mahama is likable, so we hope all these work to the advantage of the administration. And in these legacy years left behind, he would fill those years with impactful activity, impactful projects, and seek to do a bit better than he did before, right? Before he actually started the administration, he put together 26 points as a social contract with Ghanaians. And we are saying that if Mr. Mahama has been able to do just 20, or just half, just even 10 properly of those 26 points, he would go down as one of the most successful presidents in Ghana. So 26 points, let's just do half, not everything, just concentrate and do just half properly. Mr. Mahama will go down as one of the presidents that Ghana has had, who did a few more good things for this country. So this has been our treatise today on teaching the issues. If you want to once again help us by clicking the channel for notification for next week's edition, and also liking the comment, giving us a thumbs up, and also most importantly, if you can subscribe to this channel. So our topic today has been that there's a danger confronting the Mahama administration, and the danger is that everything seems to be going on too well too soon with Mr. Mahama, and he needs to check it and watch it. Thank you very much. My name once again is Benjamin Kwesiteria, and this has been Tissues of the Issues. Bye.